Should I play this? This is one of the most vile callers we have. Take a listen to this. I have not pre-screened this, so let me just warn you. This may not be suitable for children.
Hey, little prickless. Now that your hero is there, are you going to sit there in your little kimono and wear your little hat, rice, because it's going to be called no free speech, red Chinese communist speech. But you can't have pork because you might offend the Ayatollahs. After all, they're going to love this too. They're going to make a bomb, and I hope they drop it right on your freaking ass. But you can't have pork. But you can't have pork. But you can't have pork. I'd like to stick that microphone right up your ass. You can't have pork. 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 You guys are a bunch of lying, cheating bastards. If you didn't cheat, you wouldn't win.
This is highly triggered. This is an extremely triggered individual.
You're an asshole. Flap around like a freaking chicken. Flap around like a freaking chicken. But you can't have pork. But you can't have pork. But you can't have pork. You can't have pork.
They want to go out and they want to touch, they want to vote. I'm working my ass off here. I'm soaking wet already. Suppression balls. You can't hold them. I'm soaking wet already. Suppression balls. Now, yesterday we had 3 big ones, really big. Suppression balls. Hey, don't give me the umbrella. I'm soaking wet already. But they put numbers, you know, they're called suppression. Suppression balls. They make you, like, feel badly. So you say to your wife or you say to your husband, darling, let's go out to dinner and then we'll come back. We love our president. But, you know, the polls say he can't win. Well, right now we're leading in almost everywhere. We're leading. Well, I'm soaking wet already. Suppression balls. Red wave. I'm soaking wet already. Suppression balls. Suppression balls.
There I am. Wow, I just did about 5 minutes of stream and didn't even realize I wasn't on camera. That was bizarre. Wow. I should even just cancel the stream. That was so humiliating. Should I just end it? Like, just take it fresh tomorrow? That was pathetic. Holy shit. Okay. I'm self-canceling. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like self-cuckoldry. What are we even watching here? So Joe Biden today met with the family of George Floyd on the 1-year anniversary of the shooting of of the death of George Floyd, not the shooting of George Floyd. And, we've heard much from Republicans and Democrats about getting police reform through, and it's completely stalled and it's pathetic. So we're going to have some of that stuff upcoming. We're also going to look at some right-wing media. I have some memes. I have some unban requests. I have voicemails. We're going to review an old interview of mine with Brian Fisher by popular demand. This is one that maybe a lot of people in the audience are not familiar with. And we have clips and we have images and we have just all sorts of, hey, is that Dr. Oz? That is bizarre. That is like a low rent Dr. Oz. Or maybe Dr. Oz is a low rent that guy. That's bizarre. But yeah, so we have a lot of different things to do and to talk about. But man, I am shaken up by streaming for like 3 minutes and I wasn't even on screen. That was crazy. Pepe Xanadu asks via Super Chat, how did your parents decide to migrate to the USA from all the other countries available to them? My dad was offered a job in the USA. From the full list of countries, the only country where he had a job offer was the United States. So it was a slate of 1. Jacob says, what are the consequences of the January 6th committee failing in the Senate? What should be done if it fails? I don't know. I think Democrats just need to figure out a way to push it through regardless. And if you can do it, there may be another structure to such a commission. It wouldn't be the same, but where you wouldn't need Senate approval. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it. I believe I heard today that Mitt Romney is going to be voting in favor of it. So that is a good thing. Let me say a big thank you to Keneal Shah, who just signed up at joinpacman.com and is new member number 1. Also, big thank you to Gilgo M for the Twitch sub 4 months. Kiss My Toe Beans for the Twitch sub. Flea Girl, Artistic Simplicity, 18 months, if you can imagine that. Really appreciate the 4 of you. And we have 2 things on target today if we get to 100. Not only will phone lines open, I will film an updated backyard garden video. What I showed you 10 days ago is nothing compared to what I have now. I have probably 2 dozen strawberries. My green peas are climbing to the moon. I am holding green peas. So 2 things on target today if we do get to 100. Now, where to start first? Let me start with a couple of voicemails, okay? These are new. I don't even remember what these are. These have been flagged. The first one is called David Super Pacman Show. That sounds interesting. Let's take a listen to it. Here we go.
Hey, David. Albin from Sweden here. So I wonder, with the David Pacman Show growing and growing, how will it continue to further progressive causes?
Right.
For example, will it keep doing the David Pacman Show as it is on schedule now, or will it expand? Will there be a David Pacman Pack Super PAC or something? I know you're against money in politics and that whole system, but yeah, that's what I was wondering. And sorry, excuse my English. It's not my native language. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Very good. So important questions coming in from Sweden. Will it become the Super PAC show or something like that? This voicemail is just labeled Jewish condoms. So I'm a little scared on this one, but let's listen, I guess.
You ever think maybe if Jewish people wore condoms, the thought of them having money and controlling the media might be a little less disgusting of a thought?
Wait a second. What? I think this was a response to my segment on anti-Semitism. I don't even think I understand that. What does that even mean? I'm going to have to listen to that. That is bizarre. Let me see if I can figure that out. Hold on. Why isn't it playing?
You ever think maybe if Jewish people wore condoms, the thought of them having money and controlling the media might be a little less disgusting of a thought?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's anti-Semitic, but I don't really understand. That is a bizarre voicemail. What on earth does that mean? Does anybody know? Is she saying Jewish people should not reproduce? That is disgusting and weird. It doesn't make sense. Okay. And then last one is, I guess, some kind of tech trouble. I love tech trouble voicemails. Let's see.
Hi. Today, Friday, the 21st of May, I made a comment on David's item on the 35 Republicans voting for the January 6th Riots Commission. And I received a reply from, in quotes, David Pacman Show with a picture of David, but according to my YouTube notification, the message actually came from capital.com and had a numerical reply, which I don't understand.
This woman sounds absolutely lovely and delightful, and I love her support. The frequency with which we get technical support, voicemails, and messages, we have no idea what's going on. Like, we get all of these different messages, whereas people will say, hey, I went to your website and was redirected to, Newsmax, and then they stole my credit card, and it's like, listen, you might have some spyware, but this has nothing to do with our website. Or I'll get messages from people who say, David, Facebook has blocked you. I used to get you on my Facebook, and we don't get you anymore. And it's like, listen, we can't, I'm sorry. I don't know. Everything's fine on Facebook. We have an internal term where I'll like, if I get something that I think is a bona fide issue, I'll send it to Pat and I'll be like, is this user error? Meaning like there's nothing for us to fix. It's just, it's a tech thing. This woman may have some kind of redirect or something might be wrong with her computer. Let's see.
So I was wondering, why did I receive this message from capital.com?
No idea.
And I don't understand what the message says. So
Yeah.
I sent them an email asking about this, and I haven't received a response yet.
Uh-oh.
So I just want to know if this is fishy or if
It's
this
fishy.
is okay. So I'm Marion.
Oh, okay. Well, she goes in to give her phone number then, so we're going to stop that. Yeah, it bums me out because we can't so we probably get 50 technical support requests a day of different kinds. 5 are relevant to platforms we control. Like 5 of the 50 actually relate to our website. Other things are like, maybe something's glitchy with YouTube, maybe something's glitchy with Facebook. And then the vast majority are unfortunately what we refer to as user error, and we just can't keep up with it. We quite literally cannot keep up with it. So that's that. Some nice voicemails. A few other super chats coming in. Pepe Xanadu says, enough garden, update the drum solo video. Okay. David, what are your thoughts on the late Argentine philosopher Mario Bunge reading his social science under debate? Any other recommendations? No, I have not read his work, unfortunately, and would not be able to comment. And Dominic says, do you think you might be a super spreader, Mr. President? Yeah, that was quite an event. We should commemorate the 1-year anniversary of that. Okay, let's get to a few other things. Do people want unban requests next? Or do you want the new remix from the Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II subreddit? Unban requests or the Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell? I'll do both. We'll do the unban requests first. Okay, yeah, let's do that. I actually have a lot of unban requests here. We are calling to order this court of unban requests. I have my gavel. There is a mechanism, an element on Twitch where if you were to get banned, you could appeal the ban. And if and when you do that, I get a message and we can look at it. Okay. Here is a user named Labanti Tech Official, which I recognize right away. This is someone we've banned under about 7 or 8 different names, and they keep making new accounts. They created a new account on the day of the last stream. On that very same day, they showed up and they said the following: David Pacman, D Pacman. They posted a bunch of numbers. They posted another bunch of numbers. They posted another bunch of numbers. They posted another bunch of numbers. They then posted their personal phone number. They were timed out. They then posted their personal phone number again and asked me to call them. Then they attempted to post a direct link to a members only piece of content. Then they said F David Pacman and they were banned. Their unban request is my phone number is, and then go here to get the bonus show. It is not a bot. We know who this person is. That is a deny and permaban. All right. That is that. Next unban request is from a user named Diabolus Musica. They've been in the chat for a while. Oh my God. Their last thing that they did was during the last stream. They showed up and were just sending relentless messages in all caps. And the messages themselves were not particularly offensive, but they were asked multiple times to turn off all caps. Then they started sending all caps messages like, don't show your garden again, you trash human being. Who eats this trash? I want to hear how Trump won the election again. This is all caps. Trump is about to win. Are we tired of winning yet? All in caps, repeatedly asked to stop using caps lock. Then they said, my keyboard has the China virus and only has capital letters. At that point, they were banned. Their unban request is, why was I banned? My keyboard has the China virus. Come on. That's a permaban. Okay. Next user. This is a user named Matt Welch. Matt Welch came in and said, Jews are pulling the strings. They were immediately banned. And then their unban request was, it's a little bit anti-Semitic, but it was fair to bring up. Okay, that's a perma ban. Come on, guys. And then here is another user who, they were just banned. They just showed up and they said about the remembrance of the George Floyd death. Imagine praising a drug addict. They were banned, and their unban request is Nazi mods. So that is a perma. All right. So that's a lot of that's not good. Not good. All right. So that is everything as far as unban requests are concerned. Thank you very much. I do want to say thank you to Ryan for the super chat, who says, great channel, love the content. Thanks, Ryan. Very much appreciate that. Also, thank you to Seraph of Lies for 6 months subscribed on Twitch. Dragonfly Back Home, 21 months subscribed, and sends the message, I've been subbed 21 months on Jeff Bezos's dime. Love it. Love it. That is 2. Putting us at 7, and we will open phone lines if we get to 100. All right, very good. Next, let me see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, here is the latest remix from the Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II subreddit, where someone, I guess, put together all the times that I said Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II. This probably took a lot of work. Check this out.
Get an alert, a Google alert, that there are clips of mine posted to the Stephen subreddit.
That's pretty good. I like that. That probably took a really long time to make. I don't even know how you would go about finding all those clips, but that's pretty trippy. I like that. Let me look at that one more time.
Get an alert, a Google alert, that there are clips of mine posted to the Stephen subreddit. Get an alert.
That's great. And if you actually look at the detail, my hair, it's almost like a Brady Bunch. I'm in different locations. My facial hair is completely different in some of these. Let's even take a look. Look at that. That is something. My hair here compared to my hair here, it's like a different person. Facial hair, backgrounds, microphones, this is really nicely done. I like it. The user, I guess it's someone who goes by the name Dank Memes. I don't know. This user is under the impression that I've been omnipilled, and that's a very aggressive claim, which we would have to adjudicate, probably with a ban hammer. Okay, let's continue. Next, I've got, what else do I have? Oh, okay. This is bizarre. Radical, reactionary, rancid Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, for some weird reason, a few days ago said no one died of COVID in Texas since March 2nd. Where did she get that idea? I don't know. Let's listen to this.
You know, I'm really enjoying telling Speaker Pelosi to kiss my mask, though. Yesterday, Thomas Massie, Madison Cawthorn, Brian Mast, Beth Van Dyne, and several other colleagues joined me in refusing to wear a mask on the House floor. Thomas Massie and I both got warnings, and both of our letters ended up in the same exact place, ironically, the trash. Leftists won't even listen to the bureaucrats at the CDC. And it just goes to show that this party's follow the science slogan is a total joke, just like this entire administration, just like the entire.
What is she talking about, by the way?
Democrat Party. They want to tell you to listen to science and listen to data and facts, but they haven't done that for more than a year. 2 weeks to slow the spread turned into communism really, really quickly. Now it's showing your papers.
Oh, my God. Yep. 2 weeks to slow the spread. Next thing you know, the government owned all the grocery stores.
But don't forget, Gina, Texas removed their mask mandate 2 months ago, and Sleepy Joe called it Neanderthal thinking. No, sir. Republicans are just following the science. And since removing the mask mandates 2 months ago, Texas has not reported a single COVID death.
What is she talking about? Texas has not reported a single COVID death since the 2nd of March. Let's take a look at that. All right, so Texas, here's cases, here's deaths. March 2nd is here. So March 3rd, 266 deaths. March 5th, 277. March 6th, 222. March 9th, 168. So thousands of deaths. She says 0 deaths since they ended the mask mandate. The real number is thousands of deaths. Do you guys think she doesn't realize that? Or does she know she's lying, but she thinks her audience wouldn't realize it? Like, what's even the explanation for that? I don't get it. It's very weird. She said they didn't report a single one. They reported way more than that. That's true. There's not been a single day on which they reported just 1 death. Maybe there's some bizarre backwards grammar that would make that true. Really weird. So Lauren Boebert just out and out lying. Really strange. Okay. Other things I wanted to go over with you guys. Here is a recently uncovered video of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, here she is, and here I'm going to explain this one to you. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene arguing last year that she wouldn't even be okay removing Hitler statues. Even Hitler statues, she would fight against the removal of. All right, let's listen to this one now.
For you all going into a runoff and voting for me. I also want to say something else. I think that this is a time where our nation is being divided, and we shouldn't be. We should be brought together because this is the greatest country in the world. And we, like the other man was saying about breadcrumbs, I don't think we should be fighting about breadcrumbs. I think we should be working to come together and work further to keep things good and keep peace. We're seeing situations where Christopher Columbus, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all kinds of statues are being attacked. And it seems to be just an effort to take down history. And whether I see a statue that may be something that I would fully disagree with, like Adolf Hitler, maybe a statue of Satan himself.
A statue of Satan. There's an idea.
I would not want to say take it down, but again, it's so that I could tell my children and teach others about who these people are.
What about reading a book? You know, it's like I'm trying to think back to when I learned in school about the Civil War and U.S. history and World War II. You know, the teacher makes presentations and you watch documentaries and you read things. We need to go do a field trip to a Hitler statue to really understand World War II. Like, what on earth is she talking about? And maybe she's from maybe her framing is, you know, she's not really familiar with books. I don't know. Maybe she can't even read. That's a good point. But it is a very strange, she would even be opposed to removing statues of Hitler. Weird. There's just something very, very wrong with this woman. Very, very wrong. Okay. Next, let's go to, this is like Groundhog's Day. Today, Jen Psaki wearing green. Yesterday, Jen Psaki wearing blue. It was a different day, different a press briefing. But Peter Doocy from Fox News on both days asking the same question, like the movie Groundhog's Day. What about investigating whether COVID was man-made? Both days. Okay, here's the first clip. This is from yesterday.
Investigation. But with 589,920 dead Americans, at what point does President Biden say, we don't want to wait for the WHO, we don't know what they're doing, this needs to be an American-led effort to get to the bottom of what happened?
Well, first of all, we need access to the underlying data and information in order to have that investigation.
And why not? But he talks all the time about how he's known President Xi for a long time. So why can't he just call
and we need
ask
them
him for that information? information.
I think you're misunderstanding how this process actually works.
Well,
An
yeah.
international investigation,
It's not misunderstanding. He just doesn't understand.
led by the World Health Organization, is something that we've actually been pressing for several months in coordination with a range of partners around the world. We need that data. We need that information from the Chinese government. What we can't
That was weird. It just kind of froze.
do, and what I would caution anyone doing, is leaping ahead of an actual international process. We don't have enough data and information to jump to a conclusion at this point in time.
So is there any amount of the casualties from COVID in this country that would make you want to not wait for it?
What a dumb way of rephrase. It's very bizarre.
International effort and just do it as
Well, I have to say, I think the family members of the loved ones whose lives have been lost and deserve accurate information, data, not the jumping to a conclusion without having the information.
Okay, so that was yesterday. Today now, same question. Just he goes back to the exact same thing.
Does President Biden think these theories we hear more about now, that COVID-19 may have been man-made and escaped from a lab in China, are a wacky conspiracy theory, or based on what he has heard and been briefed on, does he think that's possible?
Well, we went through this journey together yesterday, so let's do it again. So the president
Good thing she's pointing out that he just asked this yesterday.
believes there needs to be an independent investigation, one that's run by the international community. It's an international pandemic that has killed hundreds of thousands of people around the world. He believes the Chinese need to do more to put forward data, to be more transparent. And in the second phase of this effort, he's certainly hopeful that will be the case. And he believes that every theory should be explored through that process, but that we shouldn't jump to conclusions before that data and that information.
This entire thing about man-made COVID, I've never met, the framing is the left doesn't want to know the truth. As I've been saying, and as so many people have been saying all along, let's investigate everything about the origins. If the evidence suggested that COVID was man-made, we would want to know that. If the evidence suggests that it was not man-made, but was being studied at a lab and then it accidentally leaked out, we would want to know that. But absent a reason to believe that's the case, it's irresponsible to continue pushing that that's likely or probable or believed to be true or where the evidence points. I don't know of anyone saying we should not investigate. No, do not investigate that. Definitely don't look into that. Nobody's saying that. But their obsession with all of this stuff that's not based in fact, hydroxychloroquine, it's the flu, lab leak, Dr. Fauci has money in this and that and the other thing. Research it all. But the continued idea that the left is trying, Joe Biden refuses to say it might have been man-made. Well, hold on, no, just investigate it. And if we have evidence to believe something, then we'll talk about it. But absent that, why is this the narrative? And of course, the intent is to make it seem as though something is being covered up when we have no reason to believe anything's being covered up. Sometimes things are covered up. It's not that cover-ups don't exist. It's not that conspiracies don't exist. There's no evidence for that at this point in time. And by the way, yeah, I mean, as people are pointing out, the conspiracies that are predicated on the idea that it was a weapon against the U.S., it's been mostly non-Americans who died. Like the official death, I know that the real death tolls are much higher than the official ones. Officially, 600,000 people died in the U.S., 3.5 million globally. A ton of them in China and in Chinese allies. So it'd be a very stupid way to try to attack the U.S. if that's indeed what China was trying to do. All right. Huge thank you to Photo Fitter for the Twitch sub. Ramirez Arcadia. High kudos. Thank you all for the Twitch Prime subs. Remember, use the Twitch Prime sub. It doesn't have to go to me, but don't keep the $5 with Jeff Bezos. If you have Amazon Prime, make sure you're using your Twitch Prime sub. You get one free subscription per month. Okay. I would love to accept it. Doesn't have to be me. Doesn't have to be me. But make sure you're using it. Support somebody. And remember, it does not automatically renew. Also, we will open phone lines if we get to 100 new website members. You can sign up at joinpacman.com. We had someone sign up just moments ago, Kenil Shah, who I thanked already. And not only will we open phone lines if we hit the goal today, I will also do an updated garden video. Incredible video. It will be, I promise you. Things are exploding. You have no idea what's going on out there. And soon there will be a gardening YouTuber who will be reacting to my garden. It's going to be incredible. And then I'll react to the reaction, and it's just all going to be completely crazy. All right? Very good. Do I have any more voicemails? Let's take a look. Let's see what I've got. Uh-oh. I have 14 new voicemails from someone. Do I dare try it? Do I dare? Anytime I see 14 consecutive voicemails, it gets scary. Let's start the insanity. Here we go.
David, my name is Michael David Moore.
Oh, whoa, hold on. They're about to say where they work. And I don't think, and they're giving a lot of private info. Okay, this seems problematic, but I'm not going to put it on air right now. Let's skip that. I think I've got another one from the Eggman about masks. Let's see.
Hey, Dave, help me understand something. What is virtue signaling? You say that Republicans not wearing a mask in Senate or Congress is virtue signaling. I thought that if you follow the science and you're vaccinated and you don't need a mask like you're told and you still wear one, that's virtue signaling.
Yeah, but the difference is the House still has rules. And I get it, Eggman. Listen, I get it. The CDC guidelines and state law and businesses having a policy have not always been exactly right. But what I have said from the beginning is I'm following CDC guidelines when they don't violate with the state law and state mandates. So as soon as the CDC said you don't need masks outside and states started to say you don't need masks outside, I took my mask off. The House still has a rule. And so while I agree with the Eggman, and we interviewed Dr. Isaac Bogosh today, infectious disease specialist, and he said that he believes the CDC new guidelines make sense. You're still violating the rules. You have to understand the difference, Eggman, okay? The House has rules. Let's see what else he says.
Maybe we should just get away from this phrase virtue signaling and just, if you're vaccinated, don't wear a mask. And if you're not, wear a mask at the end, right?
Yeah. Also remember that like half or something of Republicans in the House have not gotten vaccinated. That's another crazy thing. And they still don't want to wear masks. So it's far more complex than that, Eggman. All right. I do have a Troy York voicemail. He left 4 in a row. I know we're not really doing Troy York anymore. Let's just listen to one. I'm just curious what he's even calling about. It's been like a month, even longer since we heard from him. Let's see.
David, this country, under the leadership of Joe Biden, we've become a complete laughingstock.
Untrue. I mean, we have data. Polling shows the U.S. is far better regarded now under Biden. The laughingstock was under Trump. The polling data proves it.
We have no borders. We're letting illegals into the country to run amok. You have sexual predators.
Yeah, these are so boring, these talking points.
Being released to, again, repeat their crimes. Joe Biden is a pathetic human being. He's part of the criminal class that...
Those aren't arguments.
...has become the Democrat Party.
Yeah, it's just so boring. I'm sorry, not the Eggman. The Eggman's voicemails tend to be interesting. Troy York is so desperate to get on. Sometimes he'll leave 4 or 5 voicemails in a row. He's out of material. He's completely out of material. And just who cares, you know? Who cares, quite frankly. Big thank you to Evan Lutz Music, Inanis Anima, Linthole, all of whom just grabbed Twitch subs. I appreciate that. Also, thanks to Polo Doll, who is new member number 14 today. Okay, let's do something special. I am going to be reviewing another one of these classic interviews. This is an old one. This is with a homophobe named Brian Fisher. He's basically disappeared, but he's disgusting. This was a very early David Pakman Show interview. Let's just dive right into it. I think this was an interesting one. All right, here we go.
The host of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Thanks for joining us on short notice, Brian.
You bet, David. Glad to do it.
So we in talking to you via email, setting up the interview, we mentioned how we wanted to talk about how the AFA has been labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yes.
Now, when I first heard that, I said, well, first thing is let's figure out how do you get on that list? So we actually talked to Mark Potok from the SPLC. And, we talked to him about how the groups get on there, so on and so forth. So we have that piece we heard his side. So what I would love to hear is Tony Perkins has been very vocal saying the FRC, he doesn't think belongs on that list. So I would love to hear your side of how do you react?
Well, the interesting thing is, David, if you take their criterion for putting a pro-family group on this list is that they peddle
pro-family
about homosexuality. If that is their standard, then the Southern Poverty Law Center belongs on its own list because they have on their website what they call 10 myths about homosexuality, but every single one of them is true. So the reality is it's the Southern Poverty Law Center that's out there peddling falsehoods about homosexual behavior, so they ought to be on their own list.
So the myths that you mentioned, are you okay going through a couple of them? I just figured I'll pick a couple at random and we'll just see. So number one, for example, homosexuals molest children at far higher rates than heterosexuals. You say that is actually true.
This is absolutely true, and this is according to the Journal of Sex Research, which is not the research arm of the American Family Association. It's not a pro-family, not a conservative organization. The Journal of Sex Research indicates that homosexual pedophiles are responsible for 33%, roughly, of all child sex offenses.
So to be clear,
we're the ones that are telling the truth about the link between homosexuality.
Dear God.
Southern Poverty Law Center is peddling falsehoods. They belong on their own list.
So this is, just to be clear, you're referring to the 1989 Journal of Sex Research article by Kurt Frund. Is that right?
I believe that's the one, yes. I don't have that information right in front of me.
So here's the thing. I looked this up because I try to do as much due diligence as possible, and I looked this up. And what it seems to say is that this is actually the opposite of what Kurt Frund's study indicated. So in other words, you're saying 33%, assuming every case of men molesting boys is committed by a homosexual. My opinion, and you tell me where I'm wrong, is that pedophilia is not an issue of gay or straight. It is somebody who is attracted to youth, is it not?
No, you can be attracted to youth of the same sex or youth of the opposite sex. If you are attracted to youth of the same sex, that is homosexual attraction.
That, not according to those who study this in mental health. They say that it is an issue of the prepubescent nature of someone, and it has nothing to do with gay or straight.
Well, that's just simply ridiculous, David. I mean, that's simply ridiculous.
How do you figure?
Homosexuality, by definition, is being attracted to somebody of the same sex.
Yes, but that is once you are past once you are not prepubescent, though. It doesn't make sense to me to think that it is if you're attracted to someone who is prepubescent as an adult, that seems to be a sickness that is not an issue of being gay or straight. I don't know.
Oh, sure. I mean, if an adult male is attracted to a young girl, a member of the opposite sex.
By the way, this guy on his landline is classic, right?
Sickness. If an adult male is attracted to a member of the same sex, that too is a mental disorder. It's a sickness. But it is an attraction to somebody of the same sex. I mean, it's ridiculous to try to say that that's not what's going on here. I mean, the plain obvious facts are here is an adult who is attracted to somebody of the same sex. That, by definition, is homosexuality.
Okay, well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Let's look at I don't know, maybe myth number 4. Homosexuals don't live as long. You say that is true.
Absolutely, and this is according, once again, to a secular source, the International Journal of Epidemiology. They did a longitudinal study of the active homosexual community in Vancouver, British Columbia. They came to the conclusion that active participation in the homosexual lifestyle will deprive a male of anywhere between 8 and 20 years of his life expectancy. And then just last year, the Canadian Rainbow...
What is this guy talking about?
Health Coalition, this is a homosexual activist group in Canada. They produced a list of health issues affecting queer Canadians. That's their term, not mine, queer Canadians. And the first thing they mention is lower life expectancy. So even homosexual activist groups, David, are admitting, this is just last year, that participation in the homosexual lifestyle will
The lifestyle.
reduce your longevity.
Now, Brian, you know that a lot of the people whose studies you're quoting are personally angry with you for what they are saying is misrepresenting their data, right? I mean, Stephanie Strathdy, who's associate... Hold on a second, Brian, though. Let me just get the question out. Stephanie Strathdy, who's Associate Dean of Global Health Sciences at UC San Diego, and she actually authored one of the reports that you state. Here's a quote: "I am aghast that the misrepresentation of these data continues." And her argument is, and this is her argument, is that new studies actually point out that the significant advances in HIV and AIDS treatment have significantly improved the life expectancies of those who are infected, and that the landscape has changed significantly.
Well, that's fine. Significantly improved does not mean it's the same or better. I mean,
well, it makes his 8 to 20 years number ridiculous, doesn't it?
She's admitting that there is an impact on longevity. Maybe that gap is shrinking, but she's even admitting that it's still there.
You claim that gay people can choose to leave homosexuality, and you base that on the fact that some people claim to have left. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I've met them. When I pastored, I had them speak in my church.
Okay. So
that proves that it's
That's a hell of a church, by the way.
possible.
Can you understand, though, how it would be possible for someone to claim they have left while that is not really the reality? Can you imagine that type of circumstance? Can you understand why people might have that motivation to do that based on either being ostracized in their communities or for a number of other reasons? So just because you have met someone who claims to have left, does that mean that people can really stop being homosexual?
Well, sure. I mean, I've met people that have. I mean, there's living
They've pastored at his church. He said it.
proof. I mean, it's right there in front of your very eyes. Is that to say that everybody that tries to leave the lifestyle is successful? Of course not. But it is obviously possible to change, reorient yourself sexually. People are doing it every day.
So from this, I gather that logically you must believe that people choose to either be gay or be straight at some point, right? I mean, it's a choice.
Sexual behavior is a choice. Now, I may not be able to do anything about the kind of sexual temptations that I experience, but choosing to yield to those sexual temptations, that is always a choice. I mean, you can ask Tiger Woods what happens when you yield to every sexual temptation that comes your way.
So hold on a second. So when you said that people can stop being gay, you're actually saying they can just stop committing sexual acts with people of the same sex. They can't actually stop being gay, right?
Well, I'm saying that every sexual act is a matter of choice.
Okay, but do you see where I'm getting at here? Because when you talk about you've met people that used to be gay, you're not actually indicating really that they stopped being gay. They are just no longer having sex with others of the same gender, right? They're two very different things.
I don't think he gets it.
Well, no, the people that I've talked to, again, and this is based on my own personal experience and from studies I've read from organizations that help people leave the lifestyle.
Studies he's read from organizations that help people leave the gay lifestyle.
Their actual orientation does change. They develop a sexual attraction toward members of the opposite sex. Some of the men that I had speak in my church were now happily married and the father of children.
But so I'm getting so confused here, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding it. You're claiming that people can choose the sexual acts they engage in, but they cannot choose who they are attracted to. That is something you're born with. But again, you just said the people you know have changed who they are attracted to. I'm
not saying people are born that way. I'm just
no, you're not saying it.
No, I'm just drawing a distinction. But
what is the distinction? I don't even get it.
Between sexual temptation and sexual behavior, because I may not be able to control the kind of sexual temptations that I experience, but I can decide which of those impulses I yield to.
Maybe I'm just not going to understand it, because I'm hearing you saying people can't control the sexual temptations that they have. They can control their actions, but the people you know that are now happily straight were able to control the temptations. They're no longer tempted to be gay. Am I hearing something wrong?
No, transformation is possible, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's obviously happened. I mean, it can happen. Even Robert Spitzer, he was the psychologist that engineered the politically motivated declassification of homosexuality as a mental disorder in 1973. He admitted several years ago he did an extensive study.
Why is a guy like this so obsessed with homosexuality? I still, when I was doing these interviews, I didn't really get it. Now I really don't get it. Like, why does he care about this?
study of groups that work with people trying to change their sexual orientation, and he came to the conclusion that it is possible. This is Robert Spitzer, Columbia University. Doesn't work for FRC, doesn't work for AFA, probably shares most of the goals of the homosexual agenda, yet he himself has said, after looking at this issue himself, that change is possible.
Yeah, but you know what? He actually, after saying that, he actually said, it's possible if you're highly motivated to switch sexual activity, but cases of actual conversion from gay to straight were, this is his quote, probably extremely rare. And he also has recorded an online appeal asking anti-gay organizations like yours to stop misrepresenting his research.
I was pretty well prepared for this, I have to tell you.
This is Spitzer specifically. Another instance, but hold on, Brian. You have a track record of getting people who do research on these issues saying, I need Brian Fisher to stop misrepresenting my research.
No, I'm not butchering their research. I'm quoting them verbatim, David. How can you distort somebody or misrepresent somebody when you are quoting them verbatim? Using their own words. You're not changing their words. You're not twisting their words. You are quoting them. That's not misrepresentation. That's quotation.
We're going to have a certain percentage of people that will claim to do anything, but you're making it seem like it's just a run-of-the-mill thing. People that are ex-gay, now they're happily straight. But Spitzer is saying, my research did not indicate that that is common. My research does not indicate that that is reasonable. It is probably extremely rare.
But see, David, realize he is admitting that it's possible. When he says it's rare, he is agreeing with me that change is possible.
Let's play that out to its logical conclusion, and that'll get us into our
mid-roll membership frame here.
Next topic, which is, let's say we all agree it's a choice, and people can just change it. If they want to stop being gay, they can stop being gay. Let's just for a second say I agree with you and that all the evidence suggests you're right. Bear with me here. If it is a lifestyle choice, since when do we discriminate against people based on lifestyle choices? I mean, if you're a punk rocker or a vegetarian, etc., if it is a lifestyle choice, why would we allow discrimination against that lifestyle choice in terms of marriage, in terms of, don't ask, don't tell? Explain it to me.
Well, again, we're talking here about behavior. Think, David, for a minute about the billions and billions of dollars that we spend trying to convince our kids not to take up smoking.
But that's a silly that's a silly argument because there's evidence that pilots are regularly exposed to higher levels of radiation because they're spending time up in airplanes where the ozone is thinner. Is that a lifestyle choice that should also be discriminated against? I mean, come on, Brian.
Well, no, let's go back to the smoking analogy. I mean, it's clearly a lifestyle choice. People can quit. They can do it. It may not be easy. Some people may try, and they may lapse back. But we spend billions of dollars telling people, because of the health risks involved in developing a smoking habit, don't start. If you started, stop. And my suggestion is we spend the same amount of money convincing our young people not to start experimenting with homosexuality, and if you're engaged in that lifestyle, it's time to stop, and we'll do what we can to help you.
Well, okay, so I'm not very familiar with gay sex myself, being heterosexual. I know that you speak and write about it a lot, so I just want to ask you...
Oh, man. These were the days, huh?
What about a monogamous gay relationship is risky or causes HIV that we should be telling people, no, absolutely don't do that if that's a lifestyle you don't want? What is risky about a monogamous gay relationship?
Well, the problem, David, is that there is no such thing as a monogamous homosexual relationship. You look at the research, and homosexuals themselves will admit many of them have as many as 500 to 1,000 sexual partners over the course of a lifetime.
Hey, if you've ever watched the Howard Stern show, there's plenty of women with those records with men as well.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty significant record, and I would say to a woman, if you're having 500 to 1,000 sexual partners in your life, you have got to stop. You are doing you're exposing your health to enormous risk. Please, for God's sake and for your own sake, stop it.
So it sounds like you would say to anyone, regardless of gender orientation, if they're having sex with 500 people, that's not good. But the question remains, in a monogamous gay relationship, what is the risk?
There is no such thing.
But that's just completely bogus. How could anybody possibly believe that?
Homosexuals themselves will tell you that. When I had these guys came to my church and speak, they said, I was in one of these so-called monogamous relationships. But
these are the ex-gay guys, right?
Yeah, ex-gay guys.
Yeah.
We had an agreement, me and my partner, we had an agreement that we could fool around on the side. We would live together. Maybe we would be each other's primary sexual outlet.
Right.
But we had an understanding that we could fool around on the side, and he said that is common in the homosexual community.
Hey, I know of that. We're getting anecdotal here. I mean, it sounds like there is no risk to a monogamous gay relationship, right?
Oh, sure there is. Anytime you engage in anal sex, David, that is dangerous to human health. The rectal wall is 1 cell thick.
1 cell. What could that mean? What does that mean, 1 cell? It's a weird comment.
Right.
It's easily torn, so it allows any kind of disease, infection, ready access to the bloodstream. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea whether you're straight or gay.
Okay, so again, you would tell women or men who have sex with a lot of men not to do that. You would tell women or men not to have anal sex. So again, it sounds like these are just general sex tips from Brian Fisher, not even directed at homosexuality.
Exactly right.
Okay. Gay sex and domestic terrorism. With great interest, we heard you make the comparison recently on your radio program. The logical conclusion is that those engaging in gay sex should be jailed. Agree or disagree?
I've never said anything, David, about jailing homosexuals.
But I'm asking
not
you.
Not one single time. Not ever.
It's my question. No, I'm saying it. I'm not misquoting you. My question is that something that would be the logical conclusion? If gay sex is terrorism, would it not make sense to jail those people?
We ought to take our cue from gay porn actors. Gay porn actors.
What the hell is going on?
Are out there now saying, look, it is dangerous to have sex on a set without a condom.
Right.
We need to have requirements that gay actors who perform in gay porn, we need to have a requirement that they wear condoms. So I'm showing far more confidence in following the lead of gay porn actors than homosexual activists are, because I'm saying we ought to follow their lead.
No, and the gay porn actors I know are thrilled to have your support, but my question is, should it be a felony?
I am saying, David, that we ought to impose the same sanctions that gay porn actors say we ought to impose.
Something's really, really wrong with this guy. Really wrong.
But
I'm with them on this.
You're with the gay porn actors.
Yes. But you got to realize, David, it was a felony offense in the United States of America in every state in the Union until 1962.
Well, it used to be
a felony in 49 states until 1972.
Right.
And it was still a felony in 12 states in 2003 when the Lawrence v. Texas ruling came down.
Well, and it used to be legal to own slaves, and blacks weren't allowed in the military. We know we can cite old law, can't we?
Well, you're comparing apples and oranges there.
Let's talk about
both of which are fruit, by the way.
The theories that many have about latent homosexuality among anti-gay activists.
This is where I think I start asking him why he's so obsessed with this. I think this is a good part.
Is that a legitimate concern? I mean, I get a lot of emails. We interviewed Paul Cameron. We interviewed Peter LaBarbera in advance of my interview with you. There are many people that say, somebody who is so visibly active in trying to prevent homosexuality and influence what people are doing in the privacy of their own home, they must be themselves gay. I mean, can you refute that, even repudiate it if you want, like Sarah Palin does? What do you think of that?
Absolutely. My point on David would be those homosexual activists that are so intent on normalizing homosexual behavior, they are so intent on silencing and punishing heterosexuals, they must be harboring some deep-seated longing to be straight. They must really be underneath all of that anger, all of that aggression. They must secretly be heterosexual. That's my response.
The accusation is that the anti-gay activists are the ones who are really latently homosexual. And
I'm saying that if that argument stands, then homosexual activists must be latently heterosexual.
So let's just wrap up here. You know that you guys are going to lose on this, right? I mean, it is obvious Don't Ask, Don't Tell will be repealed. Gay marriage is now...
By the way, who was right on these predictions? Listen to these predictions.
Legal in more states than it ever has been, and it's certainly not going to be a number that decreases. My question is, what's next? My producer thought it would be abortion and stem cell research for the so-called pro-family groups. What is going to be the next step?
Well, I really don't know. That kind of depends on the cultural landscape and the way it shifts. We don't believe that the battle over Don't Ask, Don't Tell is over by any means. It may not look promising at this point, but we don't believe that battle is over. When the American people, David, have been able to go to the polls and vote on the definition of marriage, we are 31-0. 31 states have amended their state constitutions to define marriage as the union of one man and one woman.
Yeah, but again, Brian, it's
14
completely...
other states have laws against it.
It's completely worthless to cite that because, as we know, we can't just put anything to a vote. What if we want to put the right to bear arms to a vote? I mean, nobody would back that up. If we just ask people's opinion, we're not going to get anywhere. You know that.
Well, that's not people's opinion, David. That's what they did at the ballot box.
I understand, but what I'm saying is if we just go by everything that is put to a vote, we would still not have blacks in the military, right? I mean, when we surveyed the military in the 40s, 70 to 80% said nope, no blacks in the military. So the idea that because people voted for it, it is going to be law, I would put a challenge.
Or that it's right.
Even say this. I would like you to join us again 1 year from today and tell me now, will there be more or less states in a year?
Should have said more or fewer. That's my mistake.
Where gay marriages are legal.
Well, I do not think you're going to see any one of those 31 states that have it in their state constitutions. I don't see any way that they're going to disamend or unamend their constitutions.
Boy, this guy must be in shambles at this point. That is interesting. It's interesting to see. I believe that this interview was originally from, where was this might have been originally from 2011. I know we reposted it in 2014. I think it must have been 2011. Pretty stunning, actually, at just how wrong all of these people were, right? I mean, really, really something else. I wonder if he's even, what is he doing now? Let's see. Brian Fisher. Focal Point with Brian Fisher. 2 hours ago. Wow, he did a show today. Let's see what he's doing today.
God's judgment for a period of time. And those are the kind of political leaders we want, and we're going to see.
By the way, 100 views. 100 views, guys. Okay, let's see what he's up to.
About how to identify him in this passage today. We're in 2 Kings chapter 18 through chapter 19, verse 7. You can go to pray.
So is he just doing Bible study now because they lost on gay marriage?
.afa.net. You can read with us and you can pray with us all the way through the Word of God. Start today. 3 years from today, you will have prayed through and read through the entire Word of God in consumable chunks, bite-sized chunks. You get those 1 year through the Bible programs, you get behind a day or two, and man, there's no way you're catching up. But with this schedule over 3 years.
How much does that cost?
Easily get caught up if you happen to miss a day. And the prayers are crafted from the very words of Scripture. All right, well, let's look at 2 Kings chapter 18.
Okay, I mean, I don't want him to do Bible study, but let's just see what else he does during this thing.
Or involvement whatsoever. Now, why was he doing that? Well, realize he's got a lot at risk here because he stands to lose everything if the truth about his involvement in this, the fact that he paid for the coronavirus, with U.S. taxpayer dollars, he would be finished.
They bought the Who bought the coronavirus?
So he's got to cover his tracks. And this is back when it just began. Said, I'm going to lay this line down. I'm going to hope everybody buys it. Nobody will poke into this where this thing comes. You look at evolutionary scientists, everybody knows that this thing totally originated in nature without any help, without any bioengineering. So again, he's just trying to pull his own fat.
So I guess it's like Christianity and conspiracism or something like that. How crazy is this? So that's what Brian Fisher is now up to. Unbelievable. I do want to say thank you to James Filerman, who just signed up at joinpacman.com. I appreciate that, James. Also, a big thank you to Mulberry, Ranch Fiend, Billy in 4C, Do You Grok, MK Aviators, Victorious, Ms. Unlikely Gamer, all of whom just signed up via Twitch, which I very, very much appreciate. All right, that's all I had planned for today. I appreciate everybody joining me. We will have a big public Biden event coming up tomorrow and many, many more things coming up leading up to what? I guess Memorial Day. the Memorial Day holiday. Okay, thanks everybody for joining me. If you have stuff you want me to go over on tomorrow's stream, info@davidpakman.com, and I will see everybody tomorrow.